Okay, so there's recently been a couple of people who are new to my face, people who didn't even know I was on TikTok and found me on YouTube and now are kind of confused by a couple of things I talk about. The comment I've been seeing the most though is,
You seem to hate Sasuke. Why?
and I've made a lot of TikTok videos about this, but since I'm trying to leave that app and come to this app, I figured let's go over the points here. But before we get to flaming the worst character in the entirety of anime, make sure you go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. I went the wrong way. I'm learning. Before we get into the points as to why I hate Sasuke, I'd like to paint you a picture. I don't know if you can read my energy from across this stream, but I'm kind of a golden retriever of a human being. I love talking to strangers, I love meeting new people, and I really like making people laugh. So MCs like Gon and Naruto and Itadori from JJK really resonate with me because they're happy, dumb, bubbly types who are very, very defensive of those around them. Now imagine a personality diametrically opposed to that, and you have Sasuke. So from the jump, me and him, we're never gonna get along. But there's a lot more wrong with Sasuke than just his vibe. The biggest talking point around my hate for him tends to be his plot armor. So let's quickly go over every single time in Naruto that Sasuke probably should have died, but the plot simply didn't let him. And what better place to start than the first time he almost actually died in Naruto? For that, we're gonna have to go all the way back to the Land of Waves arc. We're talking first 30 episodes. And if I'm being real, this one is actually an okay moment for Sasuke because it was in Naruto and Sasuke's fight against Haku. You know, the baddest waifu in the whole show. Sasuke saves Naruto from Haku's demonic mirror ice crystal technique and in the process takes dozens of senbon to his body. Now, Haku does state that it's been 20 years, he wasn't trying to hit any of Sasuke's vital points. But in the panel in the manga where we see Sasuke full of these senbon, there is literally a needle coming out of his carotid artery. And yes, over the duration of the show, do throwable weapons appear to have no physical damage against whoever they hit? Yes. People take kunai to the back like it's their job. I mean, Iruka did it in the first 10 episodes, and that thing was the size of a monster truck tire. But taking a needle to the neck is going to end you. And the fact that it happened in the first significant fight of the show kind of points you in the direction that this was going to happen again and again and again. The next instance of a little bit of plot armor, this one's not so bad, is when Orochimaru bites him to give him his curse mark in the Forest of Death. The survival rate of that curse mark being planted was only 10%. And sure, yes, he's talented. He was the last living Uchiha, but like, barely skated away with that one. But since we're talking about the possibility of dying in a forest, that brings us to our next actual installment of a little bit of plot armor here, his fight against Gaara. In the Leaf Crush arc, when Orochimaru, the Sand Village, and the Sand Village team up to destroy Konoha during the Chunin exams, Gaara goes on a rampage after Sasuke hits him with a Chidori and starts to transform into Shukaku. This fight spills out into the forest where Gaara and Sasuke continue to strike it out, and eventually Sasuke gets dramatically overpowered. Sasuke gets pinned with one of Shukaku's claws to a tree, and as Gaara is going in for the kill, he is saved by Sakura and Naruto. Yes, Sakura was there to help. Obviously, Naruto did the majority of the heavy lifting in the circumstance. Sakura actually did get in the way pretty badly, but she did kind of save him. She's hashtag she's useful. I mean, more so Boruto, because she actually has revived Sasuke twice now and Naruto once. So no Sakura, no Sasuke or Naruto. I'm on a tangent. Without Naruto and Sakura swooping in, Sasuke was gonna get added to a list with Gaara's mother and uncle. But since we're talking about fighting Jinchuriki, that brings us to the Killer Bee fight. You know, when Sasuke's little ragtag group called Taka decided to pull up on the Eight Tails Jinchuriki. One of my favorite just scenes in Naruto or an anime in general is this fight. One, the entirety of Taka tries to take on Killer Bee, and he goes on to disrespect each and every single one of them individually. But before we cover what is considered one of the most disrespectful fights in just anime history, let's break down Taka and why it fuels my hate for Sasuke even more. One, let's think about Karin, a full-blooded Uzumaki who can fully heal anyone if they simply just bite her. Arguably one of the most useful people in Naruto, and Sasuke just uses her like a senzu bean with legs. She is incredibly nice, incredibly caring, and incredibly passionate, and incredibly powerful, and Sasuke assaults and disrespects her on the daily. On top of that, you have Jugo, a walking mobile battery. Jugo is a perfect sage. In fact, he is always pulling in Senjutsu chakra. It was actually his clan's bloodline that allowed Orochimaru to create the curse mark. So because he is always pulling in Senjutsu chakra, he can refill anyone's chakra with Senjutsu chakra just by touching them. It's like, if you don't want to be a sage, you just have to keep him around and you get all the abilities of a sage. I don't really have anything for Suigetsu. He's just very powerful. The Hozoki clan's like Keke Genkai is essentially Kama, where you can just liquefy any part of your body. They can't hit you. You're a little bit susceptible to lightning release, but like he still yielded all 7 swords of the mist. He's crazy. Maybe I should do a video about the Hozoki clan someday. Comment if you want that. So now that we've covered Taka and just how ridiculous it is, let's talk about this Killer Bee fight. 1, Sasuke thinks he can take on the best Kenjutsu user in the show in a sword fight, and Killer Bee proceeds to show him 7 out of his 8 swords. And by show, I mean stab into his body. Killer Bee's Kenjutsu is so good, it confuses Sasuke's Sharingan. But then again, what more do you expect from the person who could literally keep up with Minato? But don't worry, because here comes the walking sensu bean. Sasuke bites Karin back to life. But wait, there's more. The fight continues. Sasuke is now healed, and he's like, well, hey, that won't happen twice. Wrong. Killer Bee lariats him in the chest and literally collapses it. But wait, here comes the battery. Jugo now waltzes on over and heals Sasuke once again. Literally died twice. Sasuke then hits Killer Bee with Amaterasu, and Bee still gets away. But since we're talking about getting away, we might as well talk about the 5 Kage Summit, where Sasuke thought he could take on the 5 strongest people on Earth simultaneously, and then every single one of them proceeded to beat the shit out of him. But let's start with Mai. Mai was able to get Sasuke trapped in a hallway with her, and if we're being real, I'd love to be trapped anywhere with her. Mai essentially uses her lava release to create a wall to cover over the hole that led to the hallway, and then used her boil release, which is a combination of fire and water release, in order to spit out corrosive mist. This boil release, Keke Genkai, is so powerful it was able to melt the ribcage of Sasuke's imperfect Susanoo. Yes, you can say it's imperfect. It may not melt a perfect Susanoo, but the Susanoo is considered the best defensive mechanism in Naruto, period. Oh, and by the way, Mai is probably either the 2nd or 3rd least strong Kage in the history of Kage. Well, that we know of. A lot of the Kage we don't know enough about to scale. But just with her 2 different Keke Genkais, she was able to put Sasuke in a land of hurt. And without Zetsu's spore technique that he released that transferred her chakra to Sasuke, he would have literally become a puddle. You want to know the best part though? Literally not even the worst circumstance that he escaped from during the 5 Kage Summit. No, because that would be when he escaped a Keke Tota. You thought escaping a Keke Moro was bad. Wait till you add another element to it. Inoki's Keke Tota, aka Dust Release, is a combination of earth, wind, and fire. Do you remember? Is that DMCA-able? This Keke Tota creates a 3D shape that within everything of its confines gets destroyed on a molecular level. That's why it's called Dust Release, because anything in that square, circle, cone is becoming dust. And you want to know the best part? Sasuke was in there. Inoki essentially catches Sasuke falling backwards and then throws a square around him of his dust release. And this is the part where people are like,
oh, but his dust release takes a while to activate, right?
And here's the thing, it does take a second to activate, absolutely. But in this panel, in both the anime and the manga, the dust release is activated while Sasuke is inside of it. How do I know this? Well, it's because I know everything, but also if you look at the floor during this dust release scene, you'll see that the cube is digging into it. Even when the cube is gone and the dust release has been fired completely, that section of floor is gone, meaning that that cube was already disintegrating things it was in contact with, like the floor. And Sasuke is in the dead center of it. But Obito pops in with Kamui and grabs him and pulls him into the Kamui dimension, then pops him back out somewhere else, and somehow that doesn't affect Obito or Sasuke in the end. But since we are talking about things that affected Sasuke, we might as well talk about his fight against Itachi. An incredible fight. One of the best scenes in Naruto, period. Itachi was trying to lose. Well, Itachi wasn't technically trying to lose, but Itachi was fighting Sasuke, trying to get him to get to his absolute lowest point of chakra, so Orochimaru would show himself in the form of a curse mark, and then Itachi could use his Susanoo sword, the Totsuka blade, in order to seal Orochimaru's soul into the dream or realm of drunken dreams, I believe. And that was it. Itachi was fighting Sasuke simply to get Orochimaru out of him, so he couldn't use Sasuke to reincarnate himself. Itachi wasn't trying to win or kill Sasuke, he was fighting him to help him. Obito even said it himself after the fight that Itachi could have won if he wanted to. And yet, Sasuke still lost that fight with his brother not even trying as hard as he was, considering Sasuke was trying to murder Itachi. But since we're talking about Sasuke losing fights to other Uchihas, why don't we talk about the time he decided to try and take on Madara? That being said, though, this wasn't necessarily a good look for Tobirama either. Regardless, Madara ran Sasuke through like a corn dog. Madara took Sasuke's own sword, stuck it through his heart, and picked him up and just gave him a speech. Sasuke got stabbed through the heart. That kills you immediately, just in case you're not an anatomy major. But Kabuto used his little snake belly tummy thing to keep Sasuke alive long enough that Karin could come in there and then save him once again. And lastly, there's the big one, and probably the most hotly debated one, Sasuke's fight against Deidara. All's well and good in the fight until Sasuke and Deidara get to the end, where Sasuke seems to be out of chakra and Deidara is also kind of just fed up with fighting. It's at this point that Deidara decides to use C0, a last resort technique of his that he accesses by undoing the stitching on a mouth over his heart. He then feeds that mouth a large ball of clay, and it causes an explosion with a 10-kilometer radius at the expense of his life. This explosion destroys everything within those 10 kilometers, and I mean everything. Some people say it's a cellular level technique, others don't. But long story short, Sasuke is well within these 10 kilometers when C0 goes off. But with the help of a last second summoning from someone who appears to be drastically out of chakra, Sasuke pulls Manda out from his little snake realm and has his last dying act be to defend the person he hates more than anything on earth, Sasuke. Manda dies, protecting Sasuke from the explosion, and Sasuke gets to waddle on out of his giant snake, actual literal plot armor, completely unscathed. As to why Manda was the only thing that wasn't destroyed within these 10 kilometers, I don't know why. Or as to whether or not Sasuke had enough chakra to summon a full-on massive snake. Also, I don't know how or why. I mean, we see Naruto struggle to summon the correct toad because of how much chakra it takes in the beginning of Naruto. And Manda doesn't like Sasuke. That's all the plot armor points, but there's still some other points that need to be talked about, like his rampant abuse of every woman who ever expresses even the smallest amount of affection for him. He treats Karin like the bottom of his boot. He rejects Sakura openly and even tries to kill her multiple times, puts her under vicious genjutsu so she can't follow him, or even just literally knocks her out. But when he does show the smallest amount of affection to Sakura, of all people, they have a child who he doesn't raise. He can teleport.
Nick, that uses up a lot of chakra.
Yeah, I know, but like you can use it once a year to see your daughter, maybe. I mean, for somebody who spent 10 years of an anime runtime complaining about how he didn't have a family, he sure doesn't seem to spend much time with the one he now has. And don't even get me started on the whole penitence thing. I want to remember my sins by keeping only one arm. You are the shadow Hokage of the leaf. Your job is to fight literal gods so they don't affect the leaf. Sure, you're pretty nice with one arm. I'll give you that. But if they attached Hashirama cells to your arms, by the way, which we know you would be compatible with because you are an Indra reincarnate, you would awaken a Rinnegan in your other eye. So you would have a 6-Tomei Rinne Sharingan and a Rinnegan, which would make you infinitely more powerful. But let's say you don't want to take help from the leaf, the leaf you tried to destroy. You still have access to the Ashura Path and King of Hell. The Ashura Path could give you mechanized, weaponized arms, a blade, a rocket gun, all of the things that Nagato and the Ashura Path used. And before you say,
Oh no, he can't do that because he doesn't have an arm there that he could manipulate.
the Ashura Path had 6 arms and a tail, or he could just use the King of Hell, which completely rejuvenates the body of whoever steps in to the mouth. He could pull it up, step in, boom, brand new arm. It would make you better at your job to have 2 arms. Your penitence probably cost you your eye. God, I hate this man so much. And now you know why. Why I have a tattoo of him, but like of Killua holding his decapitated head. If this video cleared anything up for you though, make sure you go ahead and like it, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Also, I want to clear up. If you like Sasuke, that's totally fine. We can have different opinions and we can still get along. I love you all the same.